Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Baldinger. I am a senior here at California University of PA, and my major is criminal justice, concentration in forensic science with a minor of biology. I am presenting on genetic genealogy, and this is an interest to me since I want to be either working in a lab with genetics or somewhere on the line of it. Um, so Genetic genealogy is the use of DNA test. It is used to infer biological relationships between the individuals. So there is a website called GED Match, which is a genetic genealogy website that specializes in finding close and distant relatives using a person's DNA data. Relatives are identified on a percentage of DNA they share. The amount of the DNA shared between the two individuals are usually listed in centimorgans, and this would be in table 1. And an example of this would be parent and child would be sharing 50% of their DNA, and that would be in 3,400 centimorgans. Another example would be for second cousins. They share 3.125% of their DNA together, and that's 212.5 centimorgans. Since 2018, GED has been used by the FBI to find criminals and catch them through their matches of these genetic databases, and they identify their close relatives through it, and they mostly use the GED match. Some methods that are used would be the overview of the basic forensic genealogy in the US. Figure 3 is the overview of basic forensic genealogy from a genealogist's point of view. And figure 4 is a cluster of matches with pretty much like a family tree kind of way, but trying to find out who is related to that suspect. And that is pretty much the same thing for figure 5, but for figure 5, there is cluster 1 and cluster 2 that actually come together to form the suspect. Some cases that I picked out, like for example, was the William Earl Cabot II case. He murdered a young couple, which was Tanya and Jay, and Tanya was 18 and Jay was 20 years old, and William was actually the first person to be convicted as a result through this genealogy research, and his DNA was found on Tanya's body and also her pants, and the zip ties were found in the couple's van, and the FBI actually collected evidence from a cup that actually fell out of Talbot's car, and they found that through the GED match, and from that they found his second cousin from the DNA that fell out of his car, and that cousin was Chelsea Rustad, and the DNA helped identify him and got him 2 life sentences. Another case is Frank Whippich, and he murdered Susan Galvin, who was also 20 years old. The investigators looked at Galvin's DNA through the GED match as well, and from contacting family members for that DNA, since it was so old, this led to Frank's DNA, and it was a match, and this actually goes all the way back to 1967, And unfortunately, he passed away in 1987, so he never got convicted of this murder. Um, some discussion points that I wanted to point out was that the family genealogical research can be reliable in court, and it brings more evidence by the family testifying against that suspect, saying that it was him, this is my cousin or my brother, etc. Some cons to that was the suspect does not want to go to jail, obviously, or prison, and after the family member testifies against him or her and they are found guilty. Um, and then another point was that genetic databases can lead to an arrest after even decades later, which actually happened with most of these cases. It will get the perpetrator off the streets, which is the pro, and a con of that would be that there could be a possible error through the DNA database, but that is very rare since it's 99.9% accurate, and it'll keep the person's DNA stored very safely and forever. And that doesn't just go for with the GED Match website, it goes for all um, genetic genealogy like websites. So that is my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.